Hello and welcome back to TOGAF 9.1 Enterprise Architecture Framework Overview course. The objective of this module is to introduce the process framework which conceptually forms the core of TOGAF. This process framework is called the Architecture Development Method, abbreviated as ADM. But before we get into the details of ADM, let's pick up on where we left off on Mr. Wiseman, the new Chief Enterprise Architect of Web First Banking Corporation. Tom Wiseman, the Chief Enterprise Architect at WBFC, had a great first day in his new role. He had two very important meetings at the CXO level, and he also met up informally with the practice leads in the strategy and solutions architecture space, and successfully scheduled a number of meetings with some key stakeholders whom he will be working with in the weeks and the months to follow. Tom's first meeting was with the CEO. Ned Skipper, the CEO of WebFirst, spared an hour out of his very busy schedule because he and his executive team as well as the board members were well aware that Tom's role in the organization will be a crucial turning point in accomplishing the transformation objectives that the organization has set for itself. Ned has been with the bank for the past 6 years. As a senior executive with decades of experience in the retail and commercial banking industry, he was appointed CEO of WebFirst right in the thick of the global financial crisis of 2008-2009. His first mission at the bank was to lead the bank successfully out of the crisis that was rocking every bank in the Western world with any exposure to global capital markets. The series of measures that he introduced in the bank enabled the bank to successfully turn a corner and emerge out of one of the worst banking industry crises since the Great Depression. He was extremely successful at gaining the confidence of his colleagues, shareholders, and most importantly, the customers. His next mission is to build up the bank for success in the very turbulent landscape of the post-financial crisis 21st century. Ned welcomed Tom warmly as he entered Ned's room, and after the exchange of pleasantries, Ned wanted to provide Tom the broader perspective and context which prompted WebFirst's executive management to create this new role. The intention was to set Tom up to succeed in the new role as the Chief Enterprise Architect. Ned said, "Tom, this is my 26th year working consecutively in the banking industry, and I have to tell you, if the last 5 years were anything to go by, we are right now at a threshold and everything we knew about banks and how to run a bank is about to change." Tom nodded understandingly and listened intently as he could sense the intensity and focus in Ned's voice and expression. Ned continued, "Tom, frankly, one of the key questions that was brought to the fore by the financial crisis is the significance of banking institutions in the larger scheme of things, and our ability to act as responsible intermediaries in the financial system, keeping in mind the welfare of the public and the financial system at large." He continued to explain, "As an offshoot of this thinking and questioning, the banking industry as a whole is exposed on multiple fronts to all kinds of experimentation, be it on the regulatory front or novel business models driven by technology innovations. A lot of these experimentation are done by new entrants into the market, typically startups, or in other cases, established businesses in other industries such as retail and telecom. These new players are attempting to leverage and capitalize on the new generation of connected, mobile-centric, and socially networked customer base." He went on to explain, "The way I see it, sometime during the last 5 to 8 years, the game has changed for the banks and banking industry as such. The winners in the new game would be the ones who can be the most nimble and responsive to changes in the emerging business landscape and cater to the needs and aspirations of the customers. In this emerging scenario, the one who has the capability to innovate and have the insights to invent the future business models and novel interaction and engagement models will lead in the marketplace." Hence, our executive board recently agreed that the top directive for the organization is customer centricity or even customer obsession, and to enable this through technology and innovation, we all agree that this needs to be our top agenda for the next decade. Tom and Ned continued to discuss the bank's new strategy to orient itself to the new value of the customer centricity in everything that the bank does. They also touched upon the overseas expansion plans to make its foray into the emerging markets such as China, India, and Brazil, and briefly touched on the competitive landscape that are at play in various markets. Ned also talked passionately about the cultural renovation, structural and process changes he wanted to introduce to reinvigorate web-first workforce. After nearly an hour-long discussion, mindful of the time, Ned ended the meeting wishing Tom good luck with the new job, adding, "I'm sure Lisa would be able to fill you in on more details and connect you with some key stakeholders and enablers on this transformation initiative this afternoon." He was referring to WebFirst Chief Strategy Officer Lisa Nosovich, who will be Tom's boss in his new role. Tom thanked Ned for his time and a great overview of the bank's vision and strategy and for offering the context for his new role at WebFirst, and Ned appreciated Tom's insights on various topics and added that he is keen to circle back to get his views after his first couple of weeks at WebFirst, and ended the conversation with a brisk handshake. Tom felt energized from the brief but intense and invigorating interaction with Ned Skipper as he walked out from Ned's office. In that short hour, he gained much clarity about the organization's direction, intent, and values, and the specific strategies and outcomes it wants to achieve in the next 2 to 3 years. He went back to his desk to collect his thoughts together before his next meeting in the afternoon with his boss, Lisa Nosovich.